Welcome back. North American College Championship round number 11. Evans Clinchey joined by Mike Frentz. Mike, it's been a pretty fun morning. We got to watch Dave Wiegand and Kolton Koehler put in some work here on table one. It's been entertaining for sure.
Yeah, two very very deep reservoirs of word knowledge. Two players who are not afraid of open boards, and now we get to see what happens when those players play against each other.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. If you're just joining us, I can catch you up. We saw Dave here on table one in round number 9. He had a win over Austin Shin. We saw Kolton here in round 10 as he was victorious over Peter Armstrong. And now it's Kolton and Dave going head to head against each other. I believe these are the top two players in the standings. If I can just double check that. Yes, Kolton is in first place all alone at 8-2, the only 8. And then Dave is the top 7-3 with a big spread of plus 708. So the best win and loss record against the best spread in the field. And they're the top two players so far. Reminder about the format of this tournament. It is a 24-game tournament followed by a 4-game playoff. Or sorry, a 4-player playoff, I should say. So all you got to do is finish in the top 4, and you've got a chance to win the title of North American College Champion. And both of these guys right now are in great position to do so.
Both players have their opening 7. Kolton has fees lined up for 42.
Looks very strong. Sure enough, plays it quickly, and it's the best play.
We're going to get Dave's opinion about that play very shortly.
The highest scoring move here is a tricky little word. It's Spinoni, Spinoni, making fees for 79. Tough one to find, but I bet you if anybody can, it's Mr. Wiegand here. You could play that for 79. You could play Pinions for 77. It scores 2 points less because it doesn't double the P.
It doesn't look like there's any way to reach the triples from the E. There are bingos, but none of them do that.
This is one of those racks where even if you're Dave Wiegand, you got to take a little bit of time and thoroughly look for all the bingos because it's not obvious which one's going to be best until you pretty systematically go through them all. But yeah, it looks like nothing better you can do than Spinoni for 79.
Kolton, meanwhile, has drawn the X, and Spinoni will give decent options for scoring with that, but not great ones.
Oh, it'll give text for 50.
Down to the triple, yes.
And it looks like Dave does have Spinoni on his rack ready to go. And I think Kolton will be happy to see a nice spot for his X open up. Nice job by Dave finding the best bingo. That's why they call him Dr. Bing. Yeah, the only 79-point play, and he does find it. I think Kolton's probably going to play his X pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe not quickly. It's not obvious that next or text is the best play. You got to kind of look around for other X possibilities. All right, so for round number 12, we could watch Kolton again against Rob Rabinski. We could watch Dave again against Joel Wapnick. We could watch Austin against John O'Laughlin. Oh, yeah, I'll give you those 3 choices. You could do Kolton and Rob, Dave and Joel, or Austin and John. If anybody wants to sound off in the chat, getting a vote for Austin and Olaf. All right. I haven't seen that much of John on the stream so far. He got paired against David Whitley in the very first round of the tournament and just kind of drew terrible and lost. So it would kind of be nice to have John with a chance for some redemption here on the stream. Yeah, just to repeat the candidates I put out there for you, you can watch Austin against John, Kolton against Rob Rubinski, or Dave against Joel Wapnick. Those are your options. I'm seeing, again, a completely unbiased vote for Kolton from somebody named Koehler in the chat. Allegedly a brother.
Meanwhile, after next,
all right, getting
Dave
votes
has drawn pretty ugly. Jawing for 35 looks pretty decent. And that's what's going to come down.
Okay.
Kolton has Otalgic on his rack, which does not appear to play.
Otalgic, of course, a famous word in Scrabble history. If you know your Nationals endings, it was a word that came up in a game between Jerry Lerman and James Leong, I believe, in 2007.
Mm-hmm. And of course, otalgic as a word means pertaining to, things you hear. And Jerry famously said afterwards, "It's a good thing I'm going deaf because otherwise I'd never hear the end of it."
That's a great line. I love that. All right, so not a great spot here for Kolton. No place to play Otalgic and really no place to score that much.
There's something like cog or clog underneath jawing on the left side for reasonable.
Mm-hmm. Looks like cog is the statically best play in Quackle here. I can't really think of any reason not to just play cog. It seems pretty straightforward. Not a lot of other options that are super appealing. Not sure why you would play clog instead of cog. Like, why would you want to keep AIT and not AILT? But Kolton does have clog on his rack and he's looking at it. Huh. I'm sure he's got his reasons.
I think I agree with you. I would want the L for more flexibility, especially with multiple E's that have to be at the end of the word available for bingos.
Pretty bad situation for Dave. This is just an awful cue. Just nothing at all to do with it. Really, you either have to exchange or make some weak play that holds on to the cue.
Yeah, this would probably. I've been known to be too trigger happy on exchanges, but this would be an exchange for me.
Yeah, maybe. You can play forced through the F and the C. That's 24 points keeping L and Q. That versus exchanging is a tough call. I might exchange. I might agree with you. It's tough. I feel like I've played Scrabble against Dave probably about maybe 300 or 400 times. And I feel like I've seen him exchange like twice. Like he doesn't usually need to. He can just keep powering through racks and scoring points no matter what. I'm of course exaggerating about twice. I'm sure he's exchanged more than that, but it's not much. Oh, he does exchange. Okay, I stand corrected. What a nerd keeping that leave. Yeah, he keeps NERD. Getting rid of QOL.
And Kolton is regretting that N is not slightly more out in space.
Quackle says that exchanging keeping nerd is exactly the right play. So Dave is right, and Quackle is right, and I am wrong as usual.
So, yeah, with Uintite not fitting, QD seems as reasonable as anything.
Sounds good. Yeah. Also could have played Fawcett, but that would have kept 2 eyes. So no thanks, says Kolton.
And Dave's rec went from nerd to nerdier. And down comes the double D ringer for 90 to take a 70-point lead.
Nicely done by Dave. Yeah. I forget whether I already said this, but we have decided that Austin will be on stream next round. So it'll be Austin versus John O'Loughlin coming up next. That'll be a fun matchup. Players doing okay in the standings, not at the top of the leaderboard necessarily, but both good players who are fun to watch, so that's okay. Austin is 6-4, John's 5-5, but that's okay. Still be a fun matchup. We'll have plenty more Kolton and Dave in the afternoon, I assure you.
Kolton, meanwhile, continues to draw vowels.
Yee, that's not fun.
And he
All right.
rightly exchanges them.
Was that AAII that you traded?
Yep.
Yeah, AAII AET. All right.
And Dave has drawn us some yogurt. Don't think that spelling is going to play anywhere.
You are correct. Wait, hold on. Let me just double check something. You are correct. Yeah, no spot for yogurt. Score is up to date now. It is 204 to 134. Actually, I guess the score's up to date already because I was just adding a 0 for Kolton's exchange. But you know what I mean. This is the score. It is a 70-point lead for Dave. Yeah, so no spot for the bingo. And also the word that you would have played above D-ringer is no longer valid because they removed some slurs. But Roguy, R-O-G-U-Y, that's a funky word, is available from the R at the bottom of D-ringer. You could play Gooey in the bottom left corner.
He's opting for Toyo on
Okay.
ringer, which
Maximize your score, get 33.
Kolton, meanwhile, has drawn the blank off the exchange.
Love to see that if you're Kolton. Down by 103 now. Need to come back, get that blank, and get back in the game. Not the easiest board in the world, though. No bingo available on this turn. Maybe there's a way you can try to open things up a little bit. That's not easy to do either, though. It's a tough situation. I mean, you're down by 103 and you're playing Dave Wiegand, who's not going to stop scoring. He's going to keep piling it on, most likely. You can't just make some weak fishing play. You got to stay in this thing.
He's lined up yeast, which parallels all the way
nicely,
down the
yeah.
right side for 30-ish.
Yeah, it looks like 34. And you're holding an A, setting up a spot to make ITA, possibly hook your bingo that way. Very nice. It's also not easy to conclude that there's no bingo there. You're correct that there is none, Kolton, but very quick to figure that out. I guess it's not the best board, like unless you're bingoing into like an F or something, or an E in fees, or a T in toy. Not a lot of options.
Yeah.
So Kolton gets 34, holds back to within about 69 points, and not a great draw for Dave.
There's plays like Guipure, Guipure, down to one of the E's there.
Yeah, very nice. That's a great way to get rid of these not very good letters. Oh yeah, to answer your question in chat, the slurs have been removed from pretty much all lexica at this point. Yeah, they removed a few hundred offensive words from the Collins lexicon. I believe that was at the start of the year 2022, so it's been a couple of years now. Some players do occasionally forget that they're removed and still slip up and play one. I'll be honest, I've done that myself. There's also some situations where I didn't know something was a slur. It was like a very obscure, like, racial slur for somebody in ancient Greece or something. And I just had no idea it was offensive and just thought it was a word and got it challenged off.
Yeah,
I think it's a virtuous thing that I don't know racial slurs. I'm just, those aren't on my radar. All right, let's see what happens here. Dave's going to play Guar, keeping a leave of IUP. I'm a little surprised. I mean, Mike, I thought your option of Guipure was very nice, but I guess Dave's does score well.
Yeah, Dave scores well, and Guipure throws open a bunch of new tiles for 8s, which he may not want to do at this score. I'd be curious to see what a sim says if we
I can
had the time to really work it through. Meanwhile, Kolton appears to have found his way into a bingo, and a pretty one at that. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Kale wife, beautiful with the blank W. Not easy to spot, but Kolton does spot it, and it is the best play. Beautiful. Kale wife says the bot is a female vegetable vendor. I guess if you're like at a farmer's market and there's like a woman selling you kale, that's a kale wife. Okay. So all of a sudden, we got ourselves a game. The score on your screen is now correct. It is 264-246, only an 18-point lead for Dave. And again, not a great draw for him here.
If there's a spot to play peak or equip, that's the play, but I don't see anything that does so immediately.
Yeah. Oh, you can play quip in the top right corner, making yup.
Yeah. That still leaves the EIO leave, which is not. Quip is the sort of play that is good enough to inspire you to look for something better.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it. I think on the stream yesterday, Will called EIO 3/5 of the way to Old McDonald's farm. So.
Mm-hmm. And interesting to note that after Guipure, Kale Life would not have played, but Kolton still would have bingoed with something like egg-like through the G, or I believe leukemia might fit depending on where the U's land.
Yeah.
So.
The good thing about Quip is it does set up your own eye, so you have a good chance of getting, an easy 33 next turn and dump one of those vowels. But it's not a great line to play Quip and then the eye and then have a bunch of random junk on your rack.
There's also peak scores less down to the E of fees. That's only 36.
Yeah. So I see in chat they're pointing out that Kolton has drawn oralisms through the L and Kale wife. Kolton's actually drawn a better bingo than oralisms. It is not easy to find. If anybody can spot the 72-point bingo. Oh, and there it is. Jalopik won in chat. Welcome, Jalopik. He has found Commissar from the K in Kale wife. Kolton has drawn Commissar, Komissar. It would be really cool if we saw that. It doesn't look like Dave's plays are likely to block Commissar or oralisms, really. And sure enough, Quip is not going to block them. Wow, CVB in the chat is confident that, or not confident, but he says probably Kolton doesn't know Commissar. I think he might. Let's give him some credit here. Updating the score now, it's going to be 305 to 246. Dave taking a lead, but Kolton's going to bingo. All right, no Commissar, just oralisms.
Yeah, Commissar is the sort of bingo that's hard to look for. If
Yeah.
you're with that kind of a rack, you're looking for either sevens or eights through the most frequent letters. You're not going to. The K is kind of a last resort. Now, if oralisms wasn't available, would he have found it? That's the interesting question.
Yeah, that's true. You definitely look harder when you have to. So as I was saying about Dave's play of Quip last move, he might just want to drop that I for 33 points. He can also play a longer word like IRE for 48. So setting up his I with Quip ended up paying off. Physics with the great troll answer of just play IR. Speaking of famous words played at national championships, yes. The wonderful, shout out Jesse Day, phony of IR that was played in a nationals final. Yeah, so Dave taking his time here and thinking, I think I like playing IR, just maximizing your score, getting 48 for those 1-point tiles.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it depends on how likely you are to bingo with the leave of A, B, D, E, O, R, which actually maybe you are fairly likely. I guess it depends whether Kolton blocks some things.
Also note that, as he plays Ire, one reason that you might not is that is the 11th E, and there's a lot of game left.
Ooh. Yeah, that's interesting. All right, so Kolton is now down by 45. Not the most bingo-friendly rack that he's drawn, but it's an interesting rack for scoring some points with. Ooh, the highest scoring word is not an easy one to know or find. He can play a crawl, ACRAWL, through that R in oralisms. Everybody knows crawl, but a crawl, not as common.
Strangely, there doesn't appear to be a really good way to use the O in the triple.
That is strange. Yeah, I guess it just doesn't quite work with this rack, huh?
Camo, maybe, but he's lining up a crawl, though.
Oh, very nice. Okay. Kolton's been putting on a word knowledge clinic these last couple of rounds. Mm-hmm. Nice. A crawl. Best.
And that 38 is going to pull him back within 7.
Yeah.
Dave with a awkward duplication, which is one of the things I was worried might happen after Ire.
Definitely. He does have the word adobo. That's an option here to get rid of some of those vowels in a D. Looks like Dave has adobo lined up on his rack ready to go.
I don't see much that would be an improvement.
Yeah, not really. Not much else to think of here. Well, I guess there's other plays, but I think you probably want to take out that spot on the left side of the board and also just score 26, which is pretty good. Other options include you could play Bood, Booed in the bottom left. It's not super great. The word year on the right side of the board does take a D for yeared, but I don't think those plays are very good. Like you don't want to play something like duo and open up that part of the board, like not with a small lead and all that. So probably just
With a
adobo.
small lead and a rack that doesn't really do a whole lot with that spot, even if it is left unmolested.
Yeah, which is a big F. Dave has been pretty patient these games we've seen him this morning, using his time, really thinking through his options. I've played a lot of games with him where he hasn't gone down to 8 minutes on his clock, but he's done that a couple times this morning. Kolton, meanwhile, has drawn a pretty nice balanced rack, not going to bingo or anything, but can score and balance just fine, which is more than Dave can say at this moment. I'm really not sure which player is the favorite to win this game at this moment. It's pretty close, I think. Dave's going to take a lead of 30-ish with Kolton on turn. I'm doing a quick sim of the move adobo just to see its winning percentage, and it looks like Dave's about a 59% favorite to win this game. So close, but of course that's without any inference of a rack. Actually, let me put in Kolton's actual rack and try this again. It's probably going to be pretty close to 50-50.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to see what else Dave's looking at with the way he's got his rack set up. Which how he arranges his tiles doesn't usually tell us that much, but
yeah, he's got boated maybe is what he's looking at. But Boated would keep AOU? Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I would be quite surprised if that's the move he came up with after this long of a thought.
Yeah. Maybe he knows that the best play is adobo. He's just kind of like annoyed and wants to find something better. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he just plays adobo in the end. Physics says that Boated is a good play given the bag. Yeah, so, that's true. There's 4 vowels and 14 consonants. That does make it interesting. So you can play Boated, keep AOU, and draw some consonants to go with it. Weird consonants, too. Both H's and both V's are still unseen. All right, he is going to play it. Wow, keeping AOU, really leaning into that consonant vowel ratio in the pool. Dave leads by 34 points now, 380 to 346. 7 in the bag. And Kolton's rack it's okay on this board. It's not amazing or anything. There's ways you can score, in the 25 to 30 range.
He's got Oath lined up, which would keep the best leave, or one of the best leaves you can, of EILM.
Mm-hmm.
It does give up the A, and that A hook on of Ida has been sitting there for a while now.
Yeah, wow.
So he may be looking for some way to hang on to that and make use of it later.
Dave is drawn pretty badly here. Both V's on a 4-tile pull. He drew TV.
Well, he wanted to draw consonants, and he did.
Probably didn't want those consonants. Yeah, Kolton taking his time here, looking around for options. He does have plenty of time to take.
Mm-hmm.
He's got about triple the amount of time left that Dave has almost. So yeah, Kolton can play Oath, as you were saying, Mike. That's probably one of the better options leave-wise. He could play Falsie, Falsie, through Oralisms for 27.
Mm-hmm.
He could play Folia or Foley through the I in Oralisms.
Mm-hmm.
Those would score 28. So a lot of pretty similar options. You're going to score in that 25 to 30 range. You're going to play the F and a couple other tiles. You're not going to open the board very much. A lot of these plays are pretty similar in a lot of ways. But Kolton is taking some time to choose the right one. Seven in the bag. I could probably do some quick calculation of what those 7 are.
Now, one thing to note is that with that 7 in the bag, you don't want to make it easy for your opponent to leave 1.
Ah, yeah.
So that would lean toward playing more tiles, probably with Falsey, to leave 2 in the bag and put the complicated pre-end game on your opponent. Whereas if you play off Oath, leaving 4, in this case, Dave's just going to play Vavs up top for play off 3 tiles of his own and leave you with the 1 in the bag end game.
Interesting, yeah. So I just chatted from my phone in the chat what the actual tile bag is. It is all 7 consonants. It's BDHHNRS, which is gross. Of course, these players don't know that because they can't see each other's racks. But yeah, there are 0 vowels in the bag to be drawn. So Kolton has Oath lined up, as you can see. Fortunately for him, he's already got a nice balanced, rack with 2 vowels in it, so he's not going to be crippled by drawing the consonants. It's even possible that he draws a bingo. Doesn't want to draw both H's, though. All right, Oath does indeed come down.
I would be shocked if we saw anything other than Vavs here.
Yep, seems about right. And I can do a quick sim and see whether Dave is still a favorite. And yeah, he is. Okay, that makes sense. Given the fact that Kolton, there's not many good racks Kolton can draw. He needs to get lucky to draw something workable. The suspense of seeing what Kolton draws is killing me. Ooh, and Dave draws both H's. Well, that's interesting. H's are a nice tile to draw 1 of. Not so much to draw 2 of. So Kolton did not get a bingo. It's a nice looking rack, but it's pretty close to a bingo. So Scrabble in chat is asking whether an N is in the bag. And yes, that's correct. The N is the only tile in the bag. I'm getting your scoreboard and everything updated. It should be up there in a second. And the actual score is, there you go, on your screen. It's 410 to 371. Kolton on turn down by 39 and the bag contains only an N. Wondering if there's a way to like fish the L and draw minders or something, but no, I don't think that's going to work. So year takes the hooks of D, N, and S, which might come in handy. But yeah, not minders or reminds. What can he fish for that starts with a D, N, or S? Actually, he also has it that can be hooked, which also could take an S or an S.
So, so YEARD also takes an S. So there's a possibility of fishing that off, trying to hit something
Ooh.
that hits both lines. Trouble is that's relatively easily blocked by just playing from the D.
True. And in real life, if he fished the D, he would draw Merlins and Limners, which I think they could pretty easily block. Or I guess they just wouldn't play in the first place. Yeah, CBB in chat saying that Kolton probably spends 5 minutes here at least. I would agree with that. In my opinion, these are the most challenging positions in all of Scrabble. These like pre-end games where there's 1 or 2 tiles in the bag and you got to find your chance to come back and win. At least in my personal kind of philosophy about Scrabble, the reason I play fast is so I have more time on my clock for positions like this.
Exactly.
Like if you play your first 10 moves quickly, you can really, really think about your next couple at the end. And I think that's kind of what Kolton's done here too. He had 15 minutes left before we entered this kind of pre-end game situation, and now he's down to about 8.5.
As the tiles lay, the fishing the L, hooking, just EL, would hit reminds hooking Elm.
Ooh, yeah. Although Dave has the T for Elt, so he can block things. All right, is there a second spot? I don't know. This is actually interesting.
And from Kolton's perspective, that may not be the best shot because there may be something that hits the T, for example.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, if you're from Kolton's perspective, there's 2 H's and 2 T's.
So you want
I wonder
to
if there's a way you can fish for Herschel if the H is in the bag. He might be thinking about that. Difficult position. I mean, with a rack that looks so nice, this GEILMRS, like fishing any of these tiles looks appealing. There's some discussion in the chat of playing EM, just playing the M. I'm trying to figure out the idea behind that.
The trouble is either the O. Dave's going to have either the O or the U and be able to block that spot. This also, at some point in your calculations, you start to think maybe I don't need to bingo. Maybe I could just score enough and threaten an outplay. And
oh my God!
That way.
I just realized why they're saying to fish the M, and it is insane. If you fish the N and fish the M and draw the N that is actually in the bag, you have a disconnected 10 of interlens through the T and the EN for the win. Okay. If that happens, just cancel the tournament. Kolton wins. It's over. Like that would be crazy.
It would be the greatest moment would be if he sees it, he plays it, he draws it, and Dave blocks it.
Because Dave sees it too. Yeah, he's got to block it.
Okay, so he's going with the other idea I was mentioning there of he's just playing sled for
some number of points. Here, I'll find the number of points. I can do that.
Trying to just draw an outplay and win that way. And he does have Myrin up through the eye of oralisms, which is 26. That might be enough depending on what Dave does here.
And looks like it's not quite enough. Oh, because Dave can block it. Okay. So a play like bot, BHAT, through the A can block it and score enough. And a weird 5-letter word that I don't think I recognize, Tuath, Tuath, scores 18 and blocks. So I think Dave, if he's smart here, can just do enough to block Kolton's win.
I mean,
Really creative try, though, by Kolton. I mean, not as creative as fishing for interlens, but that's okay.
had that happened, do you trust Dave to see that play and block it?
Yeah, I think I do. I mean, it's just a 9 with an S, and Dave knows the 9s pretty well. And I do think that, yeah, I think he probably would block it. Although, yeah, no, I think he would. I think he would block. I mean, like, it's a situation where the bag's empty. You know your opponent's rack. There's no. If it were a pre-end game and there were 8 different permutations of your opponent's rack, that would be harder. But if there's just one rack that you know he has, it's a little easier. CBB in chat says he's going to ask them after the game if they saw interlens. Look forward to getting that answer.
Can we get the score updated?
Oh, that is my bad. It is actually, 1 second. It is 410 to 405. And the actual tile pool as well. I guess we don't need the tile pool because we can see their endgame racks. But yeah, the score is a 5-point lead for Dave, which is just enough if he has a smart out in 2 here to win. So looking at the standings, Kolton came into this game the only player at 8-2, and Dave had the best spread of the 7 and 3s. These are the top 2 players in the standings. And I think they're going to still be the top 2 players in the standings, assuming Dave wins, because he'll be the best of the 8 and 3s on spread. Kolton will be in second.
He might have something here. Hang on. 18, 24, 29, 439.
Both.
20. What did I say Myron was? 26 and 12. I think that if he sees it, I think that might be a swing to Kolton. If I'm if I'm doing this math right, I think Dave may have just given Kolton an opportunity to win this game.
Wow. Yeah, he had ways to block that play. Sorry, I should not have committed Mirren to the scoreboard just yet. The actual score at this moment is 439, 405. But yeah, Mirren should win this game. Yeah, it's a 34-point game. Mirren scores 26 and gets 12 off of Dave's rack. It should win by 4. Yeah, I mean, Dave got into a little bit of time trouble, but he still had 2 minutes left. That should have been enough time to spot Mirren and block it.
Of course, we're relying on Kolton seeing Mirren, which he should, but
I would expect him to, yeah.
We have all made worse mistakes.
Seeing a comment in chat that Collins doesn't usually have endgames, which is completely wrong. That is just a dumb thing to say.
Doesn't see
he has an arm. Wow. That's wow.
Not
okay. Not enough. Yeah, he's going to play in arm for 15. And Dave's going to win this game by 7 points. Wow. That's okay. Well, a win's a win. I guess Dave will take it. What is It looks like Kolton is saying something to Conrad, the director there. I'm not sure what they're discussing, but
he's pointing out.
Conrad! Oh no! Oh, you're showing them. Oh, and Dave's nodding like he saw it. That's oh boy. Well, even the best players in North America make mistakes. It happens, but yeah, not the most fortunate end game for either of these guys. But Dave will take the win. Yikes.
And frequently in these very close games, it comes down to who makes the last mistake. And unfortunately, and I think Conrad's showing them the interlens possibility.
Right on cue, as Adam in chat says, should have shown them interlens. And yeah, I think he's going to show them interlens. Yeah, it's to be clear, all three of these guys, Conrad and Dave and Kolton, are good friends, and I'm sure that this information is being taken better than it would be if like some random stranger walked up and started playing with their board.
Yeah.
But still, we're playing for a lot of money here, and these are two guys in first and second place in the tournament, so it's always tough when you have an end game that doesn't go well. But it looks like they're in good spirits about it. You see Puneet in the background there chatting with the guys as well. Mm-hmm. Kolton's a good sport. This is obviously not a pleasant loss to take, but lucky for him, he's still in very good shape in the tournament with a record now of 8-3.
Yeah, the key is just to shake it off and play the next game.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. We've got plenty more Scrabble coming up, so you just got to keep in good spirits and keep focused on playing your best game. We are almost halfway through the preliminary rounds of the North American College Championship here. 11 down and 13 to go until we cut to a playoff after round 24. So a lot of Scrabble still to be played, but right now, looks like we're going to have Dave Wiegand in first place at 8-3 with the best spread, Kolton in second. And so both these guys, both alive and well in the race here for the 4 playoff spots. We're going to have one more game in this tournament before the second lunch break here on day 2. And we're going to have coming up soon here on table 1, we're going to have Austin Shin versus John O'Loughlin. That's going to be a fun matchup. We were just talking about 2 players who are, great word knowledge, fearless. I think that we got 2 more of those coming with Austin and John. So should be a lot of fun. We're going to take a short break here and then come back in a few minutes with more action. So don't go anywhere. But wrapping up this one, Dave wins at 439, 432. And I'll just say quite the eventful end game. But one more game coming up, John versus Austin, in just a little bit. We'll talk to you soon.